Midpoint Library's Writers Room. I'm Miss Tamara from Midpoint's Trenton branch, and today we're going to talk NanoWrimo Prep. So, what is NanoWrimo, you might ask? Well, National Novel Writing Month, or NanoWrimo, began in 1999 as a challenge for folks to write a 50,000 word novel in a month, and that month is November. So that's coming upon us. So if you are interested in doing NanoWrimo, or if you're a pro at it, I'm going to walk through their prep guide from their website, which is NanoWrimo.org. And it's a nonprofit organization that supports other writers and supports young writers programs. Rhymos, as you're called if you do NanoWrimo, furiously try to write these 50,000 words wherever they can find the time in the month of November. And it's a community-powered fandom that has a start-up for novels. Water to Elephants, Fangirl, and a novel called Wool began as rough drafts in November. So it's a teaching tool, it's a curriculum, and its programs run year-round. So whatever you think NanoWrimo is, it's more than that. So are you ready to consider NanoWrimo with me? So what we're using today is I am using the NanoWrimo Prep Guide. It's called Prep 101. And what I'm going to do is just briefly take you through the steps. This is a 52-page PDF, which we'll provide the link to get. And you can sign up at NanoWrimo anytime. And I will show you kind of what their website looks like as we go on. So how much planning you do for NanoWrimo depends on what kind of writer you are. Because this is really intense. This is like if you're an extreme outliner, and you can take whatever you want from this to help you write. I love this quote from George R.R. Martin about writers types. I like to say there are two kinds of writers. There are architects and the gardeners. The architects plan everything before they set a word to paper, like an architect building a house. They draw up the blueprints, and they know how deep the foundations will be. The gardener, meanwhile, digs a hole and plants a seed and waters it with his blood and tries to shape what comes up. I think all writers are part architect and part gardener, but the proportions differ. I'm much more of a gardener than an architect. And if you don't know who George R.R. Martin is, he is the creator of Game of Thrones, the novels, and they're still waiting for the last novel to come out. And he's a very prolific writer. So, are you an architect or gardener? Keep that in mind as we run down NanoWrimo Prep. So, session 1 is develop a story idea that you are passionate about. So they give you suggested ideas like borrow a plot. And what that is you take 3 of your favorite books, movies, TV series, episodes, and you take those, write down, summarize what the plot is, and then you mix them up because you want to make sure, unless you're writing fan fiction, you want to make sure you're coming up with something original. The other thing they ask is you can borrow a character. So if you borrow a character, it can be somebody that is just a stranger on the street. It can be a family member, a friend, or it can be a family member or an ancestor you never knew. Everybody's using the Ancestry.com and such. So what it is you invent a future history for that person and write a novel about them. The other thing you can do is news you can use. You look through the news, you watch the news, read a news article, and find something that intrigues you. I'm sure we'll have lots of books about the COVID virus this year. So, just find something that you like. And the last one is a kind of a cool one. I'm a visual kind of writer, so I kind of like it. It says, find a whole new world by looking at photos on the internet. And they give you some websites like Board Panda, like travel websites, and then you go and explore that setting. So there are different types to get you started. Session 2 is create complex, believable characters. Now this is where that architect gardener thing is going to come in. they want you to do a questionnaire they go through the different types of characters. And what they want is for you to do a different type of questionnaire for each character. So like all your characters, they have like a 42 questionnaire for all your characters. So that's why I say that's a lot of architecture for me. I like to do biographies for my characters, but that's a lot. And then the next set of characters you have is your supporting characters. Your supporting characters have 3 questions that you should ask in addition to these. What is their relationship to the main character? What is their favorite thing about the main character? How are they like the character? And pardon me, there was one more question. How are they different from the main character? So that's your supporting cast, like your partners to your people, their loved ones, anyone that is a support to your main character. The next one is called the physical antagonist. This is a person or group of people who want to oppose your main character. So they have some extra questions to ask about that. So why are they facing off against your main character? Do they have any likable traits? Because none of us like villains that are just dull and pulled out of a caricature. And what are your villain's weaknesses or your antagonist? And then the last one is called an abstract antagonist. Now this would be probably common in like your romance novels or action adventure where you have like a natural disaster, you have somebody facing a disease like cancer, or maybe they're stuck in a world of poverty, they've immigrated to the new world in the 1800s and they're trying to grow up as an immigrant in that historical novel. So there's some other questions that you can ask. How is this antagonist affecting your main character? Do other characters notice how does the antagonist affect the other people in your novel? So that's some stuff to ask about your. And then last, don't forget your 3 big questions it's called for your main character. What does your main character want? What do they need to grow as a person? Not necessarily their goal, but something they need to grow as a human being. And what major flaws, which are their internal problems, and obstacles, which are the external problems, stand in your main character's way? Because without conflict, there's no real good novel. Conflict is what you want to go to. So that's session 2 about characters. They suggest you take about a week on each of these. So that's why we're running this now, so you can get ready for NanoWrimo. So session 3 is construct a detailed plot or outline. They give you a link to take a plotting quiz. That's kind of like the architect gardener person. You can see what kind of plotter you are. So there's method 1 that says stay loose, jot, bend, and be a pantster, which you just do things basically by the seat of your pants. So you just kind of see what starts writing and you can throw out what you don't like later. So I got like lots of worksheets and things like that. Let's see. The second one is a roller coaster. So you're kind of on a roller coaster where you have the setup, you have what's called the rising action, climax, falling action, and then a resolution. And then you have an inciting incident down here that gets to the rising action. So it's kind of like a roller coaster where your plot, you take your character on an emotional roller coaster or a physical roller coaster. So the second is called a 9-step plot dot. This is also known as the hero's journey. So if you're familiar with Joseph Campbell, he came up with the hero's journey, which influenced such works as George Lucas in creating the Star Wars movies. So it's kind of a 9-step, it takes you through that. And then the next one is called More Structure, Please. It's called Save the Cat, which is a thing that's been, basically you're doing a 3-act structure and what's called 15 beats. Beats are like, if you're watching a movie or a TV show, they're the different scenes that lead you to different things. And then the next one is one for the real intense architects. It's called Katie Tastic's 3-act, 9-block, 27-chapter novel. So here you have like all the different things that go into novels. So this is for extreme outliners. The main thing is we're all different writers. We're all unique. We may even just throw all this out and then you do whatever you do. I like the Doctoro Method, which says you kind of write like you're seeing through the headlights, and that's where you kind of plan a little bit and you kind of let the characters direct the story, and then you pull back to look through the headlights again. So you can't see everything, but you can kind of see bits of things. So I kind of like that way. It's kind of a combination between gardening and architect. Now, next session to help you is build a strong world for your characters. So it's about setting. You can write about, it takes you through some exercises to write different settings for moods, and then also a setting that kind of defines your character. So, imagine a real popular movie you like, and how would that character act if they didn't have that setting? Jaws wouldn't work if you weren't out on that boat trying to catch a great white shark. So that's kind of about world. This 5th session is called Organize Your Life to Support Your Writing Goals. They give you like a whole month list of checklists of things to do that don't include about writing that you get done the month before so that you can just write in November. Now I know that's not realistic for all of us, but that's what a lot of people dedicate to NanoWrimo. And then the other thing I like is they have a do not disturb writer at work thing to put up so that your roommates, your family do not disturb you while you're writing. You put that on your door or wherever you write. So it's kind of a nice little thing. And then they have a letter to write to your dear important person. So there's like a letter that you can write to your loved ones. And then last is session 6. It's find a schedule and manage your time. So this is about time management, how you find time, between all your activities. Most of us aren't James Patterson and not churning out a book a month, but we got to work around our work and our families and everything. So this kind of goes through there. They also give you a calendar. This is for 2019, the calendar in their example, because they haven't put the 2020 calendar out yet. So they'll do that closer to NanoWrimo. So if you're an architect, if you're an extreme architect, you're really going to like this. If you're a gardener, probably not so much. You're what's called a pantster. And if you're somewhere in between, take what's helpful, use what that gives you as a writer. But remember, we all have unique voices. We're all going to work differently. So don't compare yourself to your best friend that's a writer, because we're all going to work differently. Now, NanoWrimo is an interesting thing. I have done it once in my career as a writer. I did not win. I can show you that I had my book that I've been working on since 2017. And the good thing about your NanoWrimo is it gives you this dashboard, and you can see your writing badges. And so this is for my novel. And these are the writing badges that I logged my word count 2 days in a row, 3 days in a row, 7 days, which is a week, so that's creating a habit, 14 days in a row, and 21 days in a row. I passed the 1,667 word mark. I did 5,000 words and I did 10,000 words. You can see in gray that there's a 40,000 word, there's a 25,000 word here. This is for Camp NanoWrimo, which is another animal. And then this is really cool. When you get your 50,000 words, you get this cool badge that has the NanoWrimo Viking helmet on it. So that's pretty cool. And then down here are what's called Pantsters Personal Achievement Badges. So there's different things. It's just kind of to motivate. It's really good for young writers and us old writers as well. There's a quote I want to share with you. It's from a site called WriteSmartNotHarder.com. It says, "Dear author, The story you're writing, the one that's making you want to quit, it will inspire some of us with ideas we wouldn't have discovered on our own. It will offer some of us a friend or a role model when we have no one else to count on, and for some of us, it will be the respite that gives us strength to survive the hardest times we've ever lived through. Please finish it. Signed, your future fans. So that's it for today's Writer's Room. If you're doing NanoWrimo, I hope this prep talk gets you excited and organized for that 50,000 novel that you're going to write. As always, if you have any questions or comments, please share them on YouTube or Facebook. If you have detailed writing questions or would like to share something you've written for critique, please email me at tmeninger@midpointlibrary.org, and we'll provide that in the links. And to keep up with what's happening at Midpoint, please like us on Facebook and Instagram, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to Midpoint Library Systems YouTube channel.